A short list of games greets us this week as we hit episode 11 of A Week at the Indies. I'm always a little afraid when the amount of new releases can be counted on one hand, and though I know that quality and quantity have no relation to each other, I still like to keep a decent amount of chances for a yes-rated game instead of sorting the small handful of Xbox Live indie games into only the no and maybe so piles. Also, it hurts when I only get to say mean things about the gaming equivalent of a hobbyist garage kit. It just isn't fun. Luckily, I found a couple games that were good enough to recommend at least a look, so let's take a gander at what the week had in store for us. It's pretty safe to say that platformers fall into the dime a dozen category in the indie service. Aside from tower defense, the platformer might very well be the easiest genre for budding developers to start with. But as low as the bar is for entry into the genre, it's the exact opposite to create a good platformer. Usually we'll see bad collision and floaty jumps in a game that just doesn't have the prime ingredient that a platformer needs. Fun. Honor Roll 3D has these things. Jumping and movement is fast and precise, which makes sense as it looks like the main influence here is the very first Sonic the Hedgehog. If anything, the flaw with Honor Roll is that I have too much control over my spherical protagonist's movement, taking away a bit of the difficulty. The platforming is paired with little puzzles requiring levers and switches and such, providing a full experience especially when the visuals remind one of early PlayStation 1 gaming. It's not a perfect game, and chances are that you may never play it again after beating all 24 levels, but it's solid platforming fun at 80 Microsoft points, and with no glaring flaws, I'd say that qualifies Honor Roll 3D for a yes rating. Our second and last recommended game is Hive, the board game. Just like its award-winning cardboard counterpart, in Hive, you and your opponent each take turns placing and moving pieces in an effort to completely surround the other player's queen bee, while trying to keep them from doing the same. You have 11 pieces total and either can place a piece next to another of your own or move one that's already placed. The trick here is that all the pieces have to stay connected, maintaining the integrity of the hive. The game takes about 5 minutes to learn, tops, but has so many options with such a dynamic playing field and pieces that have different movements that it's easy to compare the game to chess, and easy to see why it's won more than a few board game awards or spawned a few expansions. The electronic version here comes with the ability to place someone in the same room via 2 controllers by passing one back and forth, and those with XBL Gold can play online against others. But the biggest knock against Hive is the lack of any AI. If you have no one to play with, Hive quickly goes from yes to no. But if you're the kind of gamer that knows you'll have others to play against online, or get some local sessions going from time to time, then Hive is easily worth the $3. And now on we move to a pair of games that didn't make the cut. The first of those two is a platformer simply titled Fat. You know, like the Weird Al parody of Bad, only in this case it's not a parody. It's just bad. In Fat, you haul butt through an alternate Earth where a witch hates you because you aren't fat. And her minions, who guess what, are also fat, try to plump you up by feeding you donuts and hot dogs. Your defense against this? Diet pills. Oh, and you throw shoes. Honestly, this garbage not only came out as a coherent thought, but also got drawn and coded. Aside from the fact that it's offensive, it's also boring. The only weight loss that needs to happen here is the XBLIG marketplace getting rid of crap like this. Speaking of crap, what a perfect segue into our next game, Ajare And Watch. Obvious from its title, Ajare And Watch mimics the old LCD days of Tiger Electronics and, of course, Nintendo's Game & Watch series. But with a twist! There are multiple screens, and it's an RPG. An interesting idea at best, Ajare And Watch tries too hard to be funny with the non-gaming portions, using Mad TV-style humor directed at gaming nerds. When you actually get to play, you're instantly reminded of why the old LCD handhelds died off once a better ship came along. They just aren't that much fun. When you start combining fetch quests with already boring and uninteresting gameplay, and top it off with reading small text on the LCD screens, you're left with a game that starts bad and gets worse. And that's when it doesn't do this. Yep, Code 4. Sorry, but no thank you. God help us all. A game that should have been thrown into the fire with the last two based solely on the subject matter turned out to be barely passable. Fiskal Clif, spelled like the little rascals got into game design, has all the telltale signs of being a crappy cash-in. Current event humor? Check. Graphics made in MS Paint? Check. America bashing? Check. Furries? I guess we got those too. You guide our heroic cat, Cliff, on a money-making scheme by having him drive a prototype car as fast as possible. The faster you drive, the bigger the rewards you collect. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but whatever. The thing is, it's actually kind of fun. There's a great tension between driving fast and driving safe. The hazards keep you on your toes, and damn it if I didn't enjoy it at least a little bit in spite of myself. It isn't great, and I'd hesitate to even call it good, but Fiskal Clif snags a maybe so. And that's all we got this week. Tune in next time as we explore the dark corners of the indie marketplace and hopefully come back with more than just knife wounds and herpes. Thanks for watching, I'm Hogasha, and I'll see you next time.